Hey, this is Cheryl and thanks for joining me for another digital scrapbook process video. I'll be using Photoshop Elements 11 today, along with some digital products from Sweet Shop called Let the Games Begin by Kristin Cronin-Barrow and Libby Pritchett. I'll be scrapping some photos from a conference, a scrapbooking conference that I was involved in. I went to and was, I guess, helped run. I don't even know what you call it now. But anyway, it was called Gigi Scrapapalooza, and we had it in Las Vegas. And at this point in time, I was working at Scrap Orchard, a digital site that's since closed, but I was working as a digital scrapbook designer there. I'm currently at the lily pad, but anyway, these are my friends and coworkers. A lot of these people attended the conference. A lot of these people were designers, fellow designers, and administration for the site. So right now, I'm creating two 24 by 12 canvases. One of the canvases will hold photos from before we went to the movies, and one of them will hold photos from when we were actually at the theater. So during this conference, which was held at the end of March, we decided we would check out a midnight showing of The Hunger Games, which had opened, I think, just a couple of weeks before we were there. So we had all waited to see it so we could see it together. And so right now I am just moving around some of the photos and trying to determine, where I want placement. And so I'm going to spend some time working on that. I'm cropping a few photos for, blurry people that happen to be walking through, or if somebody's face was off. And I did still keep one person with her eyes shut, but that's because she's sweet with her eyes open or shut. But and I have another picture of her with her eyes open, but I just happened to love the picture of them and wanted to make sure that she was included in the video. So this particular, these shots were taken outside of the casino resort we were staying in, and that's where the conference was held as well. So those were out front, and these are actually at the rave. And we took a shuttle over. So part of these videos, the first two-pager, will be from the 24th of March, shortly before midnight, and then all the pictures on the second page that are darker inside the theater are from the 25th, because by the time we got in there it was after midnight, and we were waiting for the show to start. So I'm just trying to determine where I want all these photos to go, and I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put things yet, so you'll see me just continuing to move the photos around. Now the photos with the groups of people in them, the one that's a portrait is actually us walking to the shuttle, and then the ones on the right side, the groups of us that some of us took a shuttle, some of us drove, so we all met up outside so we could go in. And what was fun was that we had t-shirts made up, and they said District 14. We made up our own district, yes. So, and in fact, in these photos, I do not have my shirt on, and that's because at the conference center we were at, no lie, my room was a mile, over a mile actually, to the conference center. So I would have missed the shuttle had I gone back to the room to get my shirt. So, because I was busy doing teaching classes and stuff that day. So I'm just wanting to overlap these photos some, and it does take me quite some time to get everything settled. And at first I think I'm going to have this lined right at the bottom, but it does end up moving up further and further, I think, as I create. So I actually start with a darker background for the shots from the theater. I like the grunginess of it, and I like how well it works with the darker tone of the photos. And then the ones out in front of the resort, we, we'll do a lighter page with those. And I think I'm just checking here to see if there's another darker paper that I want. But I decided I'm going to go with that dark one with the grungy green and white. And I start out with a word strip, which happens to be my favorite thing to use right now in layouts. And then I start adding some tape. Bullseye target. So I'm just going to start layering up. And I think I'll stay on this first two-pager for a while. And pretty much my clusters are going to end up being top left, middle, bottom right, middle to bottom right. Yep. So I add this bow and arrow, end up reducing the size a little bit and just bringing it down to the bottom of the second page. On this particular layout, I end up moving quite a bit around, I think. And you'll see me flipping back and forth between layouts 1 and 2 and layouts 3 and 4, mostly so I remember what I, added. So I'm adding all these little number dots, enamel pieces. I don't know if you want to call them flare, or just little like alpha stickers. And I'm adding those because it's districts 1 through 13 in the Hunger Games. Okay, and now I'm just distributing the numbers evenly using my tools and aligning them. So I'm adding some grass in on both layouts. So and now I'm adding some greenery, and that's going to add some dimensional feel to the page as well. And I'm just increasing the size of that word strip. Adding some flowers. Adding some ribbon here. And some scatters as well. Little tiny beads. And just duplicating that straw circle, moving a piece of that up towards the top. So I want to use this banner, but I don't like how it's covering up the rave photo at the top. So I do end up moving it a little bit. Adding some more greenery. Just duplicating some of that greenery again and moving it to the top. And the easiest way that I do that is while I'm left clicking on the object on my canvas, I use the Alt key, and if you click the Alt and then start to drag, then it actually pulls a duplicate of that element or photo or paper, whatever it is. So it's a great way to duplicate things especially when you're layering or clustering. And I'm just balancing out some red here. I'm going to do some paper blocks in the background. And I'm using my marquee tool to cut those out. And then just using that Control Alt to duplicate it and move them together. And I'm going to do the same type of thing, just with the dotted paper in orange. Now, you'll notice when the completed layouts are coming up that I've added title work and journaling off camera, so off of the recording. So you'll see that the first one I call District 14, the second one I call the theater. So I will use an alpha that's included in the kit to make those titles. So I think right now I'm just looking through the rest of the supplies, digital supplies, and I'm just adding some bubble wrap stamp. And then I think I'm going to add these paint splatters here on that darker background. They should show up pretty well. So you may see some things that have moved when the final layouts come up, but that's because I had to work some titles. So I'm adding in just the last little bit of stitching. And string. And here are the completed layouts. The left and right side. And then the left and right side. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll see me next time in the next video.